Welcome to the debate. Today we are looking at the latest reports from our source material, and we are seeing a massive surge in government pension application rejections.
Yeah, affecting thousands of retirees, actually.
Exactly. It's affecting thousands, and this is driven by stringent new document verification rules and, mandatory digital identity updates. My stance today is that this represents a complete systemic failure, where a rigid digital transition has basically stripped away necessary human tolerance.
Well, and my position is that these automated checks are necessary. They are standardized protocols to secure public disbursements at an unprecedented scale.
Right, but let's look at the mechanics of why this transition is locking out vulnerable citizens. For decades, legacy physical records relied on human interpretation. I mean, a human clerk looking at a 30-year-old service record knows that John Doe without an H and John Doe with an H are the same person.
Sure, human intuition plays a part there.
Right. But today's digital databases use rigid string matching algorithms. So if a middle name appears on a national biometric ID, like an Autohar card, but not on the old service record, the system just returns a binary false.
Yes, it flags the discrepancy.
It's an automated wall, though. It flags incredibly innocent errors, cutting off defense widows and elderly citizens who rely entirely on these funds.
I hear you, but that automated wall isn't a bug. It is the core security architecture. When dealing with the disbursement of millions in public funds, precision is, it's a fundamental security imperative.
Even at the cost of the beneficiaries?
Yes, because we are requiring strict adherence to matching records across national IDs, tax records like PAN, and bank passbooks. We also require refreshing bank-linked identity verification, or KYC, every 12 to 18 months.
Which is a huge burden.
It is a process, but think about complex survivor claims. If nominee information is missing or mismatched, paying out that money is incredibly dangerous. Zero-tolerance automated checks are really the only way to manage this complexity and prevent misdirected funds.
But the problem with that zero-tolerance approach is the deep opacity it creates for the end user. I mean, families are receiving blanket rejections, and the initial notices rarely specify the exact algorithmic failure.
Well, the codes are there.
But they aren't clear. Was it a date of birth off by a single day? Was it a missing initial? They're left guessing, resubmitting the wrong things, and essentially wasting months. Where's the accountability in a system that rejects you without clearly explaining why?
You're calling it an opaque system, but the reality is the exact opposite. It is the most codified process we've ever had.
Really? How so?
Because every single rejection generates a specific error code. The issue is navigating the interface, not the system's transparency. If a claimant goes beyond guessing and files a formal grievance on the government's centralized portal, like CPNGMs, and attaches their documents, it creates a binding, trackable record.
A trackable record that requires digital literacy.
Yes, but the government is then legally mandated to respond within a stipulated time frame. So the tools for transparency absolutely exist.
Okay. But look at the physical and emotional burden of using those tools. We are demanding that octogenarians make mandatory in-person bank visits to resolve dormant accounts or fix biometric links just to satisfy the algorithm.
It's a one-time setup for long-term security.
Let me offer an analogy to explain this data migration friction. Imagine translating a handwritten family recipe book into computer code. If a human chef sees a smudge that looks like a 1 instead of a 7 for cups of flour, they use their common sense.
Right, they adjust.
Exactly. The computer, however, follows the code blindly and completely ruins the dish. By replacing the human clerk with rigid code, you've penalized rightful owners for administrative friction they didn't create. How can you defend a system where older applicants weren't given the digital literacy to fix the algorithm's mistakes?
I understand the recipe analogy, but we aren't just baking a cake here. We are securing a massive financial vault. Yes, the digital pivot has undeniable friction, but we've built structured pathways to handle those exact translation errors.
Like what pathways?
Well, the process now mandates 6-month pre-retirement document audits. These are specifically designed to catch these discrepancies long before the first payout is due.
And for those already caught in the backlog,
For them, we utilize specialized legal forums, things like administrative tribunals, pension adalats, and loc adalats. These exist entirely to bypass traditional courts and resolve these exact disputes efficiently.
We clearly diverge on the core impact here. I maintain that this digitization process lacks essential human empathy. It takes the messy reality of a person's life and unfairly penalizes them when it doesn't fit perfectly into a rigid string of code.
And I maintain that strict compliance, while undoubtedly difficult for those caught in the transition, is a rigorous, unavoidable necessity. It is simply the only way to protect a modernized system against fraud and error at scale.
Well, we do find common ground on the immediate practical steps. To survive this landscape, applicants absolutely must maintain meticulous physical paper trails.
Exactly. Verify your records at the source. Audit your documents well before retirement. And please avoid blind reliance on third-party agents who promise a quick fix without providing a record of what was submitted.
Right. We will leave it to our listeners to weigh the balance. There is certainly more to explore in the source material, but for now, you have to decide, does the security of automated digital compliance justify the steep, emotional, and financial toll placed on retirees?